All right, so we'll go ahead and get started. So welcome for our class of 2026 course selection night. We're really excited to have you with us. We did decide to keep this one virtual, but we do feel that it's one of the presentations that we do that works well virtually, so we don't feel like you're going to miss anything doing it like this. It actually gives you guys the opportunity to be able to be home, hopefully have some discussions as we're going through picking classes, but also being able to ask questions as we go through. I'm going to go ahead and introduce the staff that's with me, and I'll have them just say hello to make sure that their picture pops up on the screen. So we're going to start with Mr. Gordon, our principal.
Good evening.
And then is Mr. Bousquet, our assistant principal and director of athletics.
Good evening, everyone.
I'm Amy Ketch. I am the assistant principal for academics. And then, not to confuse us all, but we do have Mrs. Kim Ketch, who is one of our school counselors.
Hi, everybody. I'm the school counselor for students with the last names A through K. I'm also the Key Club advisor.
And then Ms. Martel.
Hi, I have students with last names L through Z.
Excellent. Now, I did see some of you have already jumped ahead, which is awesome, and put your student's name in the chat. If you didn't think to put their school name, if you could do that for me as well. If you're unfamiliar with Zoom, there is a chat button down at the bottom. And if you're on a mobile phone, I believe you can hold the screen and it will give you that option. So in that chat, if you would just put the student name and the school, kind of our way of taking attendance to make sure we know who we need to follow up with. And Ms. Martel and Mrs. Ketch, as we go, if there's people who come in late, if you would just keep putting in the chat to kind of prompt them to do that attendance piece for us. All right, again, so you can also use that chat feature to ask questions. So who's ever not talking at that time will be able to answer your questions, either in the chat or they'll stop and we'll address that question with everyone, if that's something that seems to be a pretty common question. All right, so tonight we're talking about transition to high school, and we're really excited to have the class of 2026 join us at Old Town High School. So tonight we're going to be talking a little bit about Old Town High School, and then we'll go through the course selection process. Just as a reminder, any student who attends school outside of RSU 34 also needs to turn in the registration paperwork in addition to selecting their classes. Students who are currently at LMS only need to do the course form that we're going to look at tonight. But if your student is outside of RSU 34, so outside of Leonard Middle School, you do have to do the registration paperwork. So there's a form to complete. We do need the original birth certificate, and we also need proof of residency. Those documents can all be brought to the high school, the main office, or somebody will do photocopies for you and give your birth certificate and proof of residency back to you, and then we can get them in the computer. If you haven't done it yet, please don't panic, that's okay. As long as we have it by next week, that's when we're really gonna start to work on our master schedule. So one thing, I did have a couple of parents email and ask, and I just want to make sure that everybody understands that there's no difference between the session that we did on the 13th and tonight. They're not at an advantage because they selected their classes first. All of the courses will go into Infinite Campus, and then we'll start that scheduling process. So nobody has a schedule, not even our current students at this point. So nobody is at a disadvantage. If your registration paperwork comes in too much after May 6th, your student may start to miss out on some electives that are pretty popular. So if you could please get that registration paperwork in, you can bring it with you to the open house if that's easier. That would be okay. And that open house is May 12th from 6 to 7:30. We will be offering tours. There's going to be an opportunity to meet our staff and our coaches. And we have class of 2026 t-shirts for all of the students who will be joining us next year. All right, Mr. Bousquet.
All right, so the co-curricular, extracurricular information. One thing you'll hear myself and many other staff members here at Old Town say, get involved, be involved. It helps out with your time here at Old Town, and it also has many attributes that are good for experience at high school, academically, socially, and such. So, for athletics, we do offer a slew of athletics in the fall, winter, and spring. All different interests, from football to soccer, golf, field hockey in the fall, swim, ice hockey, basketball, and such. And again, all of interests are available here. We do also have the ability, if we do not host something or have something, that we can do co-ops with other schools. So if there is something that we do not offer, for example, wrestling, we do co-op with Foxcroft Academy for that. So athletics is a great way to get involved with your school community, learning, team building, and like I said, we're gonna have at our open house on the 12th. We'll have all of our teams here where you can sign up and get information for summertime activities, and going into that fall season. In eligibility for the fall and beyond, new students equals new beginnings. So our fall eligibility for any incoming students, we wipe the slate clean, and it gives you a fresh start. From there on out, though, you are required to meet our eligibility standards. I encourage everyone to take a look at our new eligibility code. It's very student-centered. And it helps students who do struggle a little bit with their academics to still be a part in some sense. We do have class minimums, and that's for grades 9 through 11 or 6 courses, and grade 12 is 5 courses. What you should know with that is most of your freshman and sophomore year will be loaded with courses, and there's a little sway for choice, but most of the time that's not an issue, but you do have to watch that for your 11th and 12th grade. We also will require everyone to have a physical on file. I would encourage people to start doing that now, as we know the medical system is a little overtaxed at the moment. But you will need a physical on file, 1 for 4 years, and it needs to be in the school year in which you're enrolling. So anything basically this year would work. We try to encourage people from July 1 on. And then beyond our sports or athletics, we do have other extracurriculars, clubs, organizations that all are here at Old Town. I like to think that we do have something for everyone in some sense. Everything from Key Club to NHS, the Student Council, to theater, to music programming, robotics. We have different groups and organizations that also operate, from GSA, civil rights. We have a math team, and also a kind of a math club that goes along with that. What I tell our students all the time is, if there's something of interest, you're going to need a teacher advisor or staff advisor to start it. We've had everything from Magic the Gathering. Yes, I just looked at the chat. Yeah, there could be in a debate club. We could bring that back. We actually have a lot of trophies from a little ways back in which we won for debate club. And dealing with adolescents every day, we know how debates can be strong. So, but again, co-curriculars, get involved, get a part of something, between band, music, theater, robotics, etc. There will be virtual and physical options for sign up of interest. I'm going to send out a QR code that links to a Google form for sign up, and it will also get you connected with coaches so that they can start communicating things like workouts or whatnot. Also, advisors will be present at the May 12th open house. And again, if you have any interest in something and or need any more information, please reach out to myself or anybody else who's here. We'd be more than willing to and wanting to push you in the good direction or correct direction for that. So we're always excited to see new incoming students and to see what they're going to bring to our learning community. So thank you very much. Appreciate it.
All right, Mr. Gordon.
Good evening, everyone. At Old Town High School, we're very proud to have not only a regular Old Town High School diploma that you can earn really at any high school. We also have honors, STEM, and humanities diplomas. These are diplomas of extra distinction that have been developed over the last several years. The honors diploma is the oldest of the three. The STEM diploma was developed with science, technology, and math in mind, and humanities is our newest diploma, which focuses on English, social studies, and the humanities. These diplomas all require a little bit more work. You have to be a little motivated academically to get these done. You'll be taking honors level classes, some college classes. You'll have seminars you need to attend and write reflections on, and there's also a community service hour aspect to that. But I really encourage you, if you're interested, to see Mrs. Gardner on May 12th at our open house. We're very fortunate to have someone who is responsible for overseeing all the students in those diploma programs. She also helps out with students who are in early college or current enrollment or AP classes. No other school in the area offers a staff member that's devoted to doing that and devoted to your success. That's how committed we are to making sure you are successful academically. So please see her on May 12th during the open house. You can enroll and be involved in one of those programs. We also have a JROTC program, which we're very proud of, the Junior Reserve Officers Training Program. We just celebrated their 20th year in existence. They have earned the distinction of being, or the prestigious honor of honor unit with distinction for 16 years. Of those 20, they weren't eligible for that the first 3 or 4 years, but they've earned it every year since. And there's quite a number of things they need to do to earn that. And they're all very proud of that. It's a great niche for students who maybe don't have a sport that they're involved in, or they're not in band, they don't have music or some other program that's really important to them. JROTC is a great leadership program. They are affiliated with the United States Army, but it's not a recruiting tool. Really, the focus is on becoming a better leader and learning a lot more about yourself. So that's a great program, and I encourage you to at least look at that and become involved if you don't have any other sport or musical instrument you play. It's a great opportunity. We also offer a wide variety of early college, concurrent enrollment, and AP options for students who are also very motivated academically. We're situated geographically in a great spot where the University of Maine is close by, Husson University is close by, Eastern Maine Community College is close by. We're always looking to develop those partnerships to provide our students with an opportunity not only to take classes in our school, but to earn credits toward college. And you can start at the Maine system in early college as early as the spring of your freshman year, provided you have a strong fall semester. We also have concurrent enrollment classes where our own teachers teach college classes within our building. We currently have English, math, and art classes available. Encourage you to get involved in those. At Husson University, you have to be a junior or senior to do so. And then we also have advanced placement classes. Those are AP, you'll hear them called. Those are more for juniors and seniors. That's a class offered at school. You'll take a test at the very end, and provided you score well on the test, you do get credit. Last year, we were very proud that the class of 2021 earned over $2.1 million in scholarships. Now, those aren't local scholarships necessarily. We do have a great number of local scholarships. Our businesses in our community in general, our alumni have been very, very gracious and generous to give back to Old Town High School and provide scholarships for our students to earn. But those are also, that number also counts scholarships that were earned from schools that our graduates applied to. I think it really speaks to the quality of graduate that RSU 34 and Old Town High School turns out. It's been over 1.5 million for a long time. We've never hit Mrs. Ketch, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think we've ever gone over 2 million until last year. So pretty impressive number. The next slide is a sample transcript from a junior in high school. We do have her permission to use it. And what I really wanted to point out to you was the fact that if you can read it, and it's pretty blurry on my screen, she does have a number of courses that were taken her sophomore and junior year from the University of Maine, Husson University. And so this young lady really has a leg up going into college. She probably has, I can't count all of them, but Mrs. Ketch, 12 credits going in.
Yep, she's almost at a semester's worth of credits.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I know of another student that's a senior this year who is also in that same boat. So take advantage of those, folks. We're really fortunate to have those, and it really can give you a leg up as you're heading into college. And parents that are on this call as well, think about encouraging your son or daughter to take advantage of that. It can certainly save you money down the road. Mrs. Ketch, both Mrs. Ketches could speak to that. Both of their daughters and sons were involved in those programs. The next slide is simply, you can get there from here. This is just a list, and it's a very abbreviated list of the schools that Old Town High School graduates have been accepted to or gone on to attend. And you'll see a number of great schools there: Bates, Bowdoin, Colby, Brown, Columbia, Harvard, MIT, Johnson and Wales, Stanford, UConn. Bottom line is you can get there from here. Don't let anybody tell you you can't. If you are motivated academically, you take care of business, you can get there from here.
All right, thank you. So we're going to talk a little bit about some course-specific information. Our math and English classes have gone through a transition over the last couple of years. Partly due to, I'm not sure how that blue line got there, but partly due to the pandemic, but partly due to just a need of how to support kids. So they've gone to a structure of a 1A and a 1B level of classes. So for students who have been on track all along, they'll come in taking Algebra 1B and English 1B. For students who have struggled over the last couple of years, have some, setbacks in their learning due to some different things, it is possible that they may end up in an English 1A or a Math 1A class. And that's just a class to make sure that they're as prepared as possible. Our ultimate goal is to make sure students find success in high school. We don't want to place them too high and have them feel like they're not prepared for that class. So it really is not designed to be a punishment. So if your student is scheduled into a 1A class, please don't take that as they've done something wrong. We're just trying to meet them where they're at. So we're going to identify students based on a couple of different factors, because we know that there's not just one measure that defines a student. So we do meet with area middle school teachers and get some recommendations from them. All 8th graders will take the NWEA in May. It is a state required test for all 8th graders. So I would put a plug into that test to please make sure that your student does as well as possible on that test. Encourage them not just to click through or to rapid guess, because it will give us false information coming out of that test. We do rely on it to do placement. There is an English placement test as well that your student may have already taken, and some of the schools may not have yet given it, but we use that information as well to help us do placement. And then finally, you as the parent, if you feel like you want them to be considered for those 1A level classes, you'll see when we get to the course selection that there is a option for you to be able to say, we're thinking that maybe that 1A level is where we want them to be. So students who end up in Algebra 1A their freshman year would take Algebra 1B their sophomore year, geometry their junior year. They can choose to double at that point if they want to, but they're not going to be not on track. Again, we're trying to help them find success. Full-time student, as Mr. Bousquet mentioned earlier, means they're taking 6 out of 8 possible classes. This is required of all grade 9 and 10 students in order to be able to progress to the 22 credits that they need to graduate. They really need to be at that full-time level. And that gets them eligible for honor roll and extracurricular activities as well. Now, one of the things that we do a lot in high school or school in general is we use the same word to mean multiple different things. So a little bit ago, Mr. Gordon talked to you about the honors diploma. A lot of people get confused thinking, well, we offer honors classes, that must be for kids in the honors diploma. And that's not true. Students who are looking to challenge themselves through a diploma or through just taking honors classes are welcome to do that. So students can say, I'd like to try one honors class next year and see if that's something for me. Or they may say, I want to take as many honors classes as I can. Either one of those will work. So if you think that your student wants a little bit of extra challenge, we strongly encourage them to do that. However, if you know and they know that they're not the kind of student who really likes to do work outside of class, you may want to have a really frank discussion with them about whether or not that's the best placement for them their freshman year. There is work expected outside of class. Those classes go a little bit faster and they go more in depth on material. There are ways to access different honors courses, and you'll see when Mrs. Ketch and Mrs. Martell take you through the course selection process, you'll see that those honors options pop up in a variety of places. Now, one thing to note is that we do try to offset the difficulty of an honors class. So students earn a grade point average for a semester or for their cumulative progress towards graduation. And we weight those honors classes because we know it's a little bit more challenging. So colleges have told us that they'd rather see a student get a B in an honors class than an A in a regular class. So because of that, those GPAs we try to kind of offset. So if a student gets an A+ in an honors class, I'm going to keep my math easy, that GPA in a regular class would be 100. An A+ in an honors class, that GPA that would factor in 106 into their GPA. So they get a 6% bump for taking an honors class. And then those concurrent enrollment and AP classes that Mr. Gordon mentioned earlier are a 10% bump. So we're trying to help students and encourage them to take those classes. We also are offering a brand new program next year, which is called CTE Explorations. Right now, it's mostly open up to next year's sophomores. And we will offer some slots to freshmen probably in the spring as spaces become available, as students make schedule changes and drop. We do anticipate that will be an option. But CTE stands for Career and Technical Education, and it's run in conjunction with United Technology Center in Bangor, which is our area CTE school. So we are the only school in the area offering this explorations program so that students can kind of get in, do some hands-on work, and really see if that's an avenue that they'd like to explore. All right, Mr. Gordon.
So over the last several years, we've developed a few things that we consider our recipes for success in high school. And it's not anything that's really terribly complicated. The first one is attendance. And Mrs. Ketch wrote it on there, attendance, 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 because that's really, really important. You can't do well if you don't show up. And you can't learn if you're not here every day. So attendance is one of the most important things that's connected to success in high school. So please, parents, students, make sure you attend as much as possible. Only stay home if you really, really need to. Attendance is vital to success. The next one is get involved. Mr. Busquet mentioned it earlier, but there are many, many offerings, many, many ways to make high school more than just English, math, and science. If you go through your 4 years of high school and that's all you do, it likely will be a dreadful experience for you. I think the beauty of high school is all those things that enrich the experience, from sports to music to JROTC to being involved in clubs. So get involved. It makes the time go faster. It helps you socially. You develop a good network of friends. You get to know staff members in a different way. It's really, really important to get involved. Mr. Bouscat mentioned the fall of the year, the fall season, and you all will start with a clean slate, and you all will start with being eligible regardless of how you're doing academically at middle school right now. And I think it's important to be involved in the fall, and here's why. The fall season actually starts 2 weeks before school starts. You'll actually start practicing with a team and with a group of students two weeks before the first day of school, before you even step foot in the building. So you walk in that first day and your anxiety can be a little bit alleviated because you have a network of friends already. So getting involved is important, but I would say getting involved in the fall of the fall season of your freshman year is really, really important as well. And the last one is simple. Do your work, take care of business every day in school, stay up on your academics. If you're struggling, you've got several people who can help you out. Take advantage of that. If you do those 3 things, I guarantee you'll find success, whether it's Old Town High School or any other high school.
Okay, so now we'll start transitioning to kind of what it is, or the reason that we're all here tonight is to talk about selection of classes and creating a student schedule. So our timeline, our sessions are held tonight, and we held one on the 13th. Again, we're looking for all materials to be submitted by May 6th. So that gives you a little over a week to be able to have some conversations and have some discussions about what classes you think your student wants to take. Please know that there's no pressure right now in this process. You do have opportunities to be able to change your mind, and Mrs. Ketch and Ms. Martell will talk about how you're going to communicate that. But if you don't feel that you have to make this decision tonight and submit it tonight, because you don't have to. You certainly are welcome to, but again, you have until May 6th. Just as a reminder, anybody outside of RSU 34 needs to turn in that enrollment paperwork. We can't get you into the computer until that happens. We will mail schedules to students tentatively the end of June. So please be looking in the mail for that. And then note that not always, the computer doesn't care that you were really passionate about, let's say, ceramics. It may have a conflict. Okay. You'll have that opportunity if you want to be able to make an appointment with me in August to take a look at some schedule changes. We also will do add drop the first week of school. So you have another opportunity to do that as well. Ms. Martell and Mrs. Ketch will be back at work the week before school, can work with you at that point too. Just to note, if anybody, this transition to high school, it's always nerve-wracking for parents and students. Mrs. Ketch will tell you, even our kids transitioning to high school, we're nervous and anxious about this process. It's just a natural part of it. So if you want to come and walk through your schedule 100 times, I will walk through your schedule 100 times with you and show you where all your classes are. So strongly encourage you to take me up on that. My Fitbit always enjoys having those extra steps. So I'm happy to do that. All right, so I emailed you some information, and we'll take a look at those documents here in just a second. So I sent you the program of studies, which has lots of really good information. We'll have some paper copies, especially of the beginning part of it at the open house. The first part of the program of studies really talks about getting ready and for life after high school, which seems kind of strange that we're talking about college and careers after high school when we're really supposed to be talking about the transition to high school. But the idea is we want to make sure that when your student gets to their senior year, they have that opportunity to be able to get to wherever it is they want to go, whether they're going into the workforce, the military, 2-year college, 4-year college, Ivy League school, what have you. We will help support them. But we want to make sure that they have as much information as possible to know what they're going to need to be successful on that next step. So that's why part of the whole first part of the program of studies is dedicated to after high school information. And then just as a plug, if you have questions, your school counselors are fabulous. They are more than willing to answer questions. So their contact information is there. It's also on that information document that I emailed you. All of our email contact information is on there, and it's also on our webpage. All right, so I'm going to jump and change screens for just a second as I pull up that resource document. If you weren't able to open it, I'm going to drop the link in the chat for everybody so that everybody can get to it if they need. Okay. And then along my tabs on the top, I've got the different documents open. So I just wanted to go through them really quickly. One of the links I gave you was those diplomas of extra distinction. So if you really want to dig in and find out the difference between the honors diploma, humanities diploma, and STEM diplomas, those are there for you. There's a nice little table that explains the requirements and how they differ from the just the regular OTHS diploma. As I mentioned before, you have that program of studies. And I'll just scroll a little bit, and there's some information. Graduation requirements if you're thinking about going to a four-year college. So that's what I meant by that information. But there's all sorts of different information in here as well. Class groupings, honor roll, etc. I also gave you the list of all the classes that we're offering this year, which is the document we used for our current students to select classes. Just kind of, you can see what's coming if you're interested. One of the things that we had the question about most last time, so I dropped some information on this document for you, is how many classes should I take? So as we said earlier, if you take 6 full credit classes, then you'll be a full-time student. That means your child would have 2 study halls. If you don't feel that they need 2 study halls, they could take 7. And if they really want to challenge themselves, they can take 8 full credits, which means they would not have a study hall in their schedule. As you go through the course selection document, you do not need to sign up for a study hall. The computer knows that if you only have 6 classes on your schedule, it's going to slide those study halls in there for you. So that's why it's not an option. And then again, as I said, you do have all of our contact information again, so it will be there. I've also included Mrs. Gardner, who is our gifted and talented and our coordinator of our diplomas of distinction. All right, so now I'm going to turn it over to Mrs. Ketch and Miss Martell to take you through that selection of classes. So if you're following along with me on that document up at the top, we are on the course selections document right there. Again, you can either just listen or you can fill it out as they're going through it with you.
Okay, so we're going to start. The first thing we're going to put on there is an email, whether it can be a student email or a parent email, whichever one you choose. But this is the email that if there's questions or things like that, that we're going to email back on. So go ahead and fill that in. And then if Mrs. Ketch, the other Mrs. Ketch, scrolls down, you're going to put your student's first name and their last name as well. One thing I want to make note of is if you get through this and you put it in, pick your classes, you submit it, and then, you start chatting about it and say, oh, I wish I wouldn't have chose this, or I wish I would have chose this class. This link is still active until May 6th, Mrs. Ketch? Yeah, May 6th. So you can go back in and actually, put in what you want. You can revise it. The only thing that we ask is if you go in and revise, that you put either like a number 2 or number 3, whatever revision it is, if you could please put that next to either the student's first name or their last name. So we know that's the one that we need to use to schedule the classes. That would be great. You're going to put the current middle school, just select one. If they're not on there, just select other and just type that in. And then I'm going to hand it over to Miss Martell so you can hear her voice too.
So each block or category is broken down by subjects, and we'll go down through all of them. English is something that you need to have every year. So you need 4 credits of English to graduate. Your options for freshman year are English 1A and English 1B, as it notes, depending on testing that you did this year to help the teachers place you, but you can go ahead and pick where you think you would be placed. And then there's the English 1B honors. So as Mrs. Ketch mentioned, the different levels of classes, these are all regular classes. And then there's the honors level that's a little bit more fast-paced and more reading, more writing. You can take honors classes without being an honors diploma if you'd like to.
Excellent. Okay, so social studies, pretty easy options here. You're either picking U.S. history or U.S. history honors. Again, keeping in mind that honors piece is a little bit faster paced. Probably more work outside of school, goes a little bit more in depth. It's a beautiful squiggle that was just on there. And then your science option. We have just simply Earth System Science. The science teachers do a really nice job of meeting students where they're at, taking them to a higher level or not. So we just have one section of that. So you just need to choose that section.
And then the next category is math. You'll need 3 credits of math to graduate with the regular diploma, and your options are listed below. It depends on your testing scores, but also what math you completed in middle school. So Algebra 1A and Algebra 1B, it's Algebra 1B is sort of that traditional Algebra 1, and then there's the honors level of it, Algebra 1B honors. If you've already completed Algebra 1, you and your test scores are indicative of that, you can take geometry. And if you're taking geometry as a freshman, then you're going to take the honors level of that because you're advanced in math. And then if you've completed the equivalent of Algebra 1 and geometry prior to coming into high school, you can take Algebra 2 honors. And you also have an option of concurrently taking geometry and Algebra 2. You can double up per teacher recommendation. So if you have questions on what math you should take or where you're at, you definitely can consult with your teacher, but you can pick your initial pick for math.
This is Ketch. Before you do the next section, I just wanted to point out, I don't think we talked about the different credits that JROTC carries. So if you could do that as you do this section, that might explain why it seems random to be here.
Sure. So I think I'll do that at the end. So I'll explain kind of the health and PE piece. So health and PE are requirements for graduation. So typically we have your first choice and second choice, just because of the amount of students who are coming in that need both of these things. We try to give you your first choice, but sometimes we need to go to that second choice. So basically, if a student takes health in their freshman year, the next year they'll take PE. And then if they take PE their freshman year, they'll take health their sophomore year. So we ask that you choose kind of that first choice, whether it's, so you have some choices. You have health or health honors. And then I want to explain the PEs a little bit. We have 2 different PEs. So one is individual sport PE. That's really where the focus is more of kind of lifelong sports. So it's typically non-competitive, non-team oriented. So golf and archery, tennis, those things that students will do for a lifetime that isn't kind of one team against another. Team sport PE is exactly that. That's kind of your classic PE class where they're doing, one team against another. So basketball, volleyball, those types of things. So that's the more kind of competitive version of PE. So now we'll get into JROTC, which is an amazing program. We have actually an award-winning program, which is really cool. So JROTC, and we haven't explained it at all, have we, Mrs. Ketch? No. So it's really kind of a leadership program, and a lot of people associate it with like, oh, if I do JROTC, will I have to go into the Army? Am I committed in some way? Absolutely not. So it's an opportunity for students to get in there and learn some, I mean, they go through like careers, they go through, they do follow that kind of military kind of structure in their learning, but they learn a variety of things and explore many, many things. It's an amazing program to develop leadership skills. So I highly recommend it. But another cool thing about JROTC is it kind of checks off some boxes for some required classes for graduation. So if a student takes JROTC as a freshman in their first year, it counts as an elective credit. If they continue in their sophomore year, it actually checks off their health credit. In their junior year, actually this one Mrs. Ketch, did we just say it's an elective social studies, their third social studies, it will check that box off. And then if they take JROTC there for all 4 years, that will meet their PE requirement. So if I was a student that I knew that I wanted to do JROTC for 4 years, I wouldn't have to choose health or PE unless I really super liked it. I mean, you can do that because I'm going to meet those requirements through those 4 years through a JROTC. So that's a really neat option. If you have any questions about that, please don't hesitate, put them in the chat and we'll try to answer them the best that we can.
So our year-long electives are listed next. We have electives, which are classes you elect to take. You need 6 elective credits to graduate. Some are full year, so whole credits, and then later we'll talk about that, the half year, half credit ones. But you can see that we have Spanish 1 and French 1. We often get asked the question, do I have to take a foreign language to graduate? No, you don't. To earn your regular high school diploma with us, you do not. But honors and the other diplomas have requirements of their own. We often have an outpouring of interest in Spanish, but we also want to promote our French because we have equally fabulous French and Spanish teachers. They're very engaging. Both classes are fun. If you can't get into Spanish, there's typically room in French. So give that some thought if you are interested. And then we have band. We have several bands. Band, jazz band, and then but just keep in mind if you want to do jazz band, you have to be in regular band. Band will give you your fine art credit, and then we have chamber choir and music appreciation. Music appreciation is like critiquing and watching musicals. And then video production is the process of creating short videos and PSAs where they record and edit the videos. And then collaborative research is a science-based elective where one of our science teachers has been working with the University of Maine on an actual research project, and he and the students in that class collect and produce the data for part of that research. So it's very hands-on. And then AP Computer Science Principles. It's a full credit class. You must have had Algebra 1 to be in the class. It is an advanced placement, so it's one of our fastest paced intensive classes as far as the level of the class. But if you're interested in computer science at all, that would be a good class for you to consider if you're eligible.
Excellent. All right, so now there's a little bit more, some more options for you. So all of these listed here are considered they're semester-long classes. So you would earn a half a credit from each of these. So you could pick, several of these to add to those whatever 6 full credits or 7 full credits or 8 full credits whichever you're looking for. So we have, again, I can't do the justice that these, really need. So Mrs. Ketch, I noticed, put in the chat, like, please definitely check out the program of studies, because they'll describe these way better than I can, especially the arts. So go in and check those out if you're looking and wondering what that class is. I can give you the brief version. So All the World is a stage. All aspects of theater. They go from costuming to acting to lighting. So they kind of go through the gamut on theater. Approaches to studio art, ceramics, creative drawing from life, design, process of extraction. Again, all of these that I'm saying right now would click off that fine art credit for you. Painting techniques, very intro painting class, sculpture, intro to physics. There is, I do want to warn, there is math in this class, because some students take it and they're like, all right, intro to physics. And they're like, oh, math. So you have to have completed Algebra 1, or you can take this class if you're taking Algebra 1 concurrently at the same time. We do have robotics as a class, as well as kind of an extracurricular, so something to keep in mind. Environmental art and design, it's been a new class. Intro to digital media, really exploring kind of all facets, a very intro class to all the different digital media. There's some also just learning about the kind of not laws, but digital citizenship. Intro to digital photography, that tends to be a popular one where they are taking pictures, digital pictures, putting, messing around, editing, creating. So that's a very popular class. We have guitar, and then if there's anything else, and we have an other category, if there's something that if we left off or you're interested in, or that you've heard about that you don't see here, you can click that and write something in there. So. And then really just any other information that you'd like us to have, whether it's about you or you as the student, or as a parent that you want to let us know, or just even questions that you still have, feel free to put them in there. We'll get back to you. Feel free to email, again, me, Miss Martell, any of us, Amy, Scott, anybody on here, we'll be happy to answer any questions, get back to you.
So we did have a question in the chat on how many electives can you choose. So I'm just going to kind of go back over. So remember that you've picked those 4 core classes. So that's 4 of them. Your health, PE, or JROTC is another. So that's 5. So now it depends on how many study halls you want. So back over to my document here. How many classes should I take? Or in this way, how many electives can I take? So you've picked 5 up above. If you want 2 study halls, that means you could only do 1 more full credit, whether it's 2 halves or 1 full, which would give you the 6 classes. If you pick 2 full electives, that means you're going to end up with 1 study hall. If you pick 3 full electives, that means you won't have any study halls. So hopefully that helps. And again, if you have questions, please feel free to put them in the chat. So Mr. Bousquet, at this point, we'll go ahead and stop our recording. And I'm going to stop my screen share. And then we are going to stay on until we